Hello and welcome to MCC TV International Show. My name is John Dabeet. I'm the business coordinator, or business department coordinator here at MCC, and also I teach economics. As I always say, every show is a special show because every guest we bring to this show is a special guest that he or she will share their story with all of you, our audience. Today's show is no different. We do have a special guest today, and it is an honor for me to present Mr. Ed Moreno. How are you, Ed?
I'm very good.
Good to have you on the show today.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. Ed, just for the simple thing, we start with description and introduction. So if I may ask you to introduce yourself, please.
Sure. So my name is Ed Moreno, and I am here to talk a little bit about being a first graduate in my family, college graduate. My background is I am from Iowa, born and raised in Davenport, and I have had a nice, great career and a great growing up in Iowa, and my career has been in environmental science, in particular the drinking water industry. So through my career, I've had opportunities to work in that industry as a regulator with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, and most recently as the superintendent of the Iowa City Water Division.
Wow, wow. So we can talk about all that stuff, but I want to go back to something you said, Ed.
Okay.
First generation graduate.
Yes.
Tell me more about that. Tell our audience more about that. How it feels that, you know, one day you went to college, you finished, you got the degree. Just describe that feeling, if you can, please.
Yeah, sure. Well, education has always been important in my family. And my father, growing up in Davenport, worked in a factory. It was called French and Hecht. It was a factory that built rims for the local industries, which was primarily tractors, so big, giant rims. And he worked hard, and he had a very hard job, and he always encouraged us to not do what he did, to do better. And what that meant was to get a good education and create an opportunity for yourself for a career that was more maybe professional than that. And so that's what we did. So that was my goal from the very beginning. And from that, I was able to go to college. I went to Iowa State University for the first, what I call the formative years of my college career. And that was back in the mid-'70s. And then I transferred to the University of Iowa. I actually stopped out for 1 year, went to Kirkwood Community College. At that time, got a certification and the ability to take a license test for water and wastewater technology. And from there, completed not only my bachelor's degree in general science, but also my master's degree in civil and environmental engineering from the University of Iowa. And it just opened doors. Doors opened up for my career from there.
It's definitely education does open a wide door to all of us. And I think those of us who are in this area, in the area of education, I mean, we definitely value the education and the value that education adds to each one of us. Ed, if I may ask, you said you were born in Davenport and raised in Davenport, Iowa. But you were born to also a Hispanic parents, Hispanic traditions, Hispanic home. Tell us something about that. For example, you know, growing up, can you take us back to what you used to do, for example, on a certain date, for certain occasions? If you can share that with us and our audience, that would be great also to learn more about, you know, the Hispanic culture too.
Yes, yes. Well, in Davenport, it's a Quad City area, hundreds of thousands of people, and it's very diverse, relatively diverse. My family, we lived, there were 5 brothers and sisters that lived in my family. Told you a little bit about my dad. My mom was an at-home mother. And we had a lot of traditions because my mom's family was from Davenport, and it was 8 brothers and sisters. Wow. Yeah, so with that, my mother and my dad and my grandparents, they all spoke Spanish. Mm-hmm. So that's one tradition. Now, I don't speak Spanish, and that's something that I kind of regret right now, but as growing up, you know, somewhat try to acclimate, because Davenport, like a lot of Iowa communities, it's diverse, but it's primarily Anglo. So growing up, we had traditions, a lot of Hispanic traditions, things like, you know, Catholicism. So we're Catholics, mm-hmm. and we all grew up Catholics and went through all that catechism, communion, all that stuff. Also, we had a lot of gatherings, and one of the most important ones, biggest ones we had, was a Christmas party for the entire family. And with 8 brothers and sisters, there was maybe 150 people that showed up. And there was a tradition. And actually, right now, we continue that tradition, and every one of the brothers and sisters has passed. They have passed away. However, we're probably going close to 100 years of continuing that tradition. We all come together. We all bring a lot of different foods, often you know, Mexican food.
And that's what I want to ask you about the food. I mean, what kind of food do you have at gatherings like that?
Yeah, we have some special recipes that have been handed down in my family. Recipes for enchiladas, tamales, and then we can do the basic things too, like tostadas and tacos. So some of them are secret, so we don't share them. You know, but they're delicious, they're fantastic. They're unique to our family because you see different types of enchiladas and sometimes tamales in different restaurants in where we live in West Liberty and here in Muscatine, but ours are unique to our family, and they're the best, in my opinion. They're very good.
Glad to know that.
Yeah.
Glad to know that. So are you in your household right now, are you practicing also some of that heritage, some of those traditions, and so on?
Yes.
You know, yes, you learned that growing up, but are you continuing to practice that?
Yeah, we are, and a lot of them have to do with celebrations. So, for example, we hosted Easter last weekend, and we broke piñatas. So in our shed, and that's just something that is part of our tradition for the kids to do that and to see it. I think just coming together as a family, one thing that I notice in Hispanic, Latino families is there is usually very little what I'd call estrangement. You see a lot of estrangement in other, in particular Anglo families. Also, there's not a lot of divorce in our families. So it's very comfortable to come together and to care for each other and to talk to each other and become comfortable with each other. And I think that's really unique.
Did you ever feel like, okay, well, I do have that kind of conflict of, okay, I grew up this way, but the society is more looking at how we do things in a certain way or different way. Did you ever deal with issues like that? And if yes, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think growing up, as you can see, I look different than a lot of my classmates. And you know, part of learning Spanish or not learning Spanish, there's one thing I'll always remember. This was, I was very young. And I was on the playground with some of my classmates, and I had mocos coming down my nose. I go, oh my God, I got a bunch of mocos. And I just remember they said, that's not mocos, that's snots. And I felt kind of weird about it saying that, but it was, you know, the Spanish word for snots, which I would never use at that time. I still wouldn't use that.
Yeah.
So you are different, you look different, you know, are somewhat judged sometimes right away because of that. Because, one thing that I often hear is people come to me and go, where are you from? And I say, well, I'm from Davenport. No. Where are you from? And I'm like, well, Davenport, Iowa, but they're getting at, where is your background? What is your country of origin for, in my case, 2-3 generations ago. But they're very curious right now about who are you, and are you Mexican, are you whatever. Yeah. Yes.
And you know what, Ed, it is important to remember that diversity leads to, again, a strong society. Diversity builds certain values that let all of us learn from each other and come up obviously much stronger because of that. So I value that as a person. And I know that a lot of people does value diversity, and I think, we are very happy and very glad to have you here in Muscatine in our community and being very active. I know, I know that you are a very active member in our community. I mean, I go around and see you around too, and which we're going to talk about it at some point during the show. But yeah, I'm really very happy that you are bringing those points into this discussion. Yeah. And as I always say, those are the points that we want to bring to our audience living room, and talking about those issues makes hopefully or lead to a bigger change and more acceptance of each other as a result of that.
Yeah. Can I just share
yes,
one? So you asked, how did I deal with it? For the most part, I just worked hard, stayed focused, and ignored it, and just really nothing terribly confronting ever happened. Just odd.
Yeah, it's
yes,
inside type feeling. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and I know that our producer Chad Bishop has some pictures to share with our audience here. Once Chad start rolling those pictures, we're gonna talk about like what each picture means, and if we can describe that to our audience. And here is the first one.
Right. So this is my grandmother and grandfather. Her name is Modesta. He is Genaro. And again, they're the ones that originally came from Guanajuato, Mexico, to the United States. And the Quad City, Davenport area was was a draw because of the railroads. So that's partly why
that's
they
the
came
reason.
Here. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. So there they are, and they're really short. They're probably 5 feet tall, and I'm like 6 feet tall. So, but they were great. They had a lot of fruit trees and things in their property. They lived by a railroad tracks, and it was great to go see them.
Great.
Yeah. This here is my family when I was young. I'm the little one on the right in the corner there. There's my mom and my dad, my older brother Mike, and my sister Connie. There's still 2 more to come after this, but again, they are young, and I probably look like my dad now. But again, he was from Chicago. He met my mom when she was there, and then when she came back to Davenport, of course, they all came together, and they raised us there in Davenport.
Wow, and I love those black and white kind of pictures, they are really unique pictures that you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yes. And there's my family now, so I'm very proud. Those are my son, Roberto, and my daughter, Kirsty, and there's Dr. Carol. They're all doctors, and so they're all dentists. This here is a graduation at ceremony in San Francisco for what's called a mastership for the Academy of General Dentistry. It's kind of a high-level training that only the best dentists go to, and we're very proud that they went. 1, that they're dentists, and 2, that they aspire to be the best dentist they can. That's my wife, Carol, on the left, and we have 2 practices here, one in Muscatine, one in West Liberty. It's called Gentle Family Dentist. Roberto is my wife's partner. He is currently my boss, which is great. He's a good boss. and so is my wife, because I work for the practice.
For the practice.
And
yeah.
Kirsty is going to dental school right now. She's in the pedodontics. She's a general dentist, but has gone back to school to further her education and her career.
Wow. And you can tell that means now education is becoming a very important in the family.
Yeah, because my parents didn't go to college. Getting coaching, understanding what that means, they could not help. But obviously we could, and we're just so pleased that they inspired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is a little out of order, but this here is a field trip for 5th graders in West Liberty. So West Liberty Youth Dreamcatchers is a program that Dr. Carroll and I started in 2004. The program identifies, with the help of the community school district, 5 3rd graders, and they are matched with mentors. They meet weekly for an hour, all the way through high school, and at that time, they are awarded $2,000 a year to go to college.
Wow.
So this is the entire class. We funded the transportation to go to DMAC. It's a conference there called the Children's Water Festival, and 2,000 kids, 5th graders, converge on campus and they learn about water.
Wow.
It's just something I've been involved in from my previous career as the water superintendent for Iowa City.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I can see the smile on their faces. Yeah.
They're really cool. This is another project that the West Liberty Youth Dreamcatchers has brought to West Liberty, and it's the University of Iowa STEM Robotics. So I graduated from the U of I with an engineering degree, and so STEM is very easy for me to bring, and I have a lot of connections there at the U of I. And this is a summer camp from last year. We're bringing it again this year, and that's the fighting robots in there. They compete a sumo ring, and those kids there are, some of them, the one with the pink shirt on is a Dreamcatcher.
Okay. Wow. And they do that, you said summertime, right?
That's a summer camp.
Okay.
Yes. This here is again some Dreamcatchers, a Lions Club member, a couple mentors there, and this is a donation garden. I am currently the chair of the Muscatine Master Gardeners, and we received a mini grant for food security, and so we had a big garden. And these are some of the produce that we do. We give this to the local food bank, also here in Muscatine, the food bank, and these kids helped us take care of that garden. These are our Dreamcatchers, and I mentor the one right in the middle there. He is Diego Hernandez. He's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are well involved, really well involved with too many things.
I'm involved in a lot. Okay. So this here, again, this is a little out of order. This is me you can see I'm much younger. My hair is dark. We are receiving an award there. That's my Public Works Director for the City of Iowa City, on the right is the Superintendent for Wastewater. This is us receiving an award for the Outstanding Engineering Project, and that was the brand new water treatment plant that we constructed in Iowa City that transformed water quality after generations and generations of poor quality water. And so we proudly received those awards. And there's the project. So this is the architectural rendering on top of what it was supposed to look like, and there's what it actually looks like under construction.
Under construction.
That's a $50 million project. This is $26 million there, and another adding up to 50 for the raw water and major distribution work. So this was a lot of my career when I was working for the City of Iowa City as the water superintendent. And this is what the industry looked like when I started. So this was the mid-'70s. If you look real closely at this, in the very back is the former superintendent for Iowa City. His name was Cleo Crone. But again, you can see there is no diversity there. There is no one of color. There are no women. There are a lot of old guys that were pretty much getting towards the end of their career. So again, this is kind of part of the dynamics that I had worked with, and it being Hispanic, it was always interesting.
It is very interesting picture.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Look at those guys. You know.
So, well, I think we hope that our audience, I'm sure our audience enjoyed the pictures that you shared with them and the explanation of each picture. And what I want to do is I want to switch gear and bring the discussion to now. What you do now, your involvement, if you can give us some idea, and it's clear to me that from even the pictures that you shared and all the statements that you shared with us that you are well involved, and I know that, but we want our also audience to get to know you more as
Sure.
our guest here.
Sounds great. Well, I'm going to backtrack something that wasn't shown here. So I've always grown up to work hard. I've learned to work hard from my dad and from my parents, and I always have, and I've always aspired. So when I was younger, it was clear to me that my parents were not going to be able to afford to pay for me to go to college. So I had to decide what to do. Fortunately, I was a really good athlete. I was a track star at Davenport Central. And I made up my mind that in order for me to go to college, I needed a full-ride scholarship. So I worked hard. I was a state champion at a state champion team, and I was awarded a full-ride scholarship to Iowa State University. That's why I went there. I actually wanted to go to Iowa, but I went to Iowa State because they gave me a full ride. At Iowa State, we won the Big 8 championship. It was the first time since 1949. That was 1975, and I was the number 4 man on that team. So I worked hard in college to not only at my athletics, but at my academics. Transferred to Iowa after that and completed my degree in general science. I was going to be a science teacher, but decided that I wanted to go into the environmental field. So I've been active because I've, in the community here, more active than I have in the past because I retired 2.5 years ago from the city of Iowa City. So currently I'm the president of the West Liberty LULAC, which is the League of United Latin American Citizens in West Liberty. It's Council 310. It's been in existence fairly recently from 2014. And the president asked me a couple years ago if I would take on the presidency because she was accepting a position with the city council in West Liberty and couldn't do it. And she asked if I would provide the leadership. I did, and I have, and we've done a lot of neat projects with that.
And if, Ed, just for those of our audience who are not familiar with LULAC,
Yes.
Can you just give us a brief
Yes.
explanation of that organization, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So LULAC, that league, began in 1929. It originated in Texas. It was created because there were a lot of racial and ethnic issues in Texas of discrimination. And it was created to help fight that, to organize, to stand for different parts of a mission, including education, civic engagement, running for different types of offices, and also, did I say education also? Those kinds of things. And so I'd always heard about it because my parents were involved in it in Davenport, and that's the oldest LULAC council in Iowa, and that started about in the early 1960s. So,
And the reason why I said that, because I'm sure most probably you're aware that we at MCC here
Yes.
just had a new induction of a new chapter of LULAC here on campus.
yes.
Yeah, and which we're very happy and very glad to have that in your organization
Yes.
at campus.
It's great. I think that makes 18 councils in Iowa. They're dispersed all across the state, from Storm Lake down to Fort Madison. And they have a similar mission. We come together, and we're focused now on some of the immigration issues that are coming up through this recent administration and some of the laws that are being passed at the state legislature that we feel are going to make life difficult for some people of Hispanic origin. Yeah.
Okay. So what else, Ed? You are involved with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see you also as part of the chamber ambassador, or
Yes.
am I wrong?
Nope, that is correct. So I'm also an ambassador for the Muscatine Chamber of Commerce. And so I wear the purple jacket and I show up at ribbon cuttings and other events. And again, I represent General Family Dentists at that organization. It's great. I really like it. I'm meeting a lot of people, a lot of industries, a lot of businesses, and it's very important for a small business like General Family Dentist to be part of
And
it.
let's talk about that for a second here, or for a minute. I
Yes.
mean, you are the special project manager
Yes,
for the dental dentistry here in Muscatine.
that's correct.
Give us some idea about the business, the small business, who runs that,
Yes.
how many dentists are involved in this.
Yeah. So General Family Dentist started in West Liberty. My wife, Dr. Carol, has been a dentist for over 30 years. And my son, Roberto, joined her 8 years ago after both of them graduated from the University of Iowa. The practices are big. They're high-tech. They're paperless. They believe in serving the entire community. So they are actively serving both fee-for-service, of course, insurances, all the insurances in the area, and also Medicaid, Title 19 they call it. And that's very unique. There's not that many dentists that actively serve the entire community. So I'm really proud of them. They are high-tech. So if you go in there, for example, and you may need a crown, they have a CERC machine where normally it may take 3 visits and all that goo in your mouth and all the lab work. They can go in there with a 3D CAD cam, take a 3D picture. They have a software program that designs it, and then they mill it right there. And within 2 hours, you can walk out with a perfectly seated crown. Yeah.
Wow. So as a special project manager,
Yes.
so what do you do for the business?
So these practices are at large. So there are 9 operatories in West Liberty. There are 14 operatories here. And with that comes lots of projects related to maintenance of equipment, also with HR issues, also with building maintenance. So part of what I did as a superintendent is I oversaw that facility, that $26 million facility, working with contractors, working with specialists on different equipment, because you can't maintain it all or understand it all. And that's what I bring to the practice. So I'm kind of in the background, except on Tuesdays. Tuesdays is where I work in the office at the front, and it's a special day for Title 19 that is scheduled, and it's very busy. So I flow in there and I help the staff to serve everybody that comes in the morning. I was there just this morning.
I'm
Yeah.
glad to know that. So you said you retired a couple of years ago, but you seems to me you're busier now than before.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm very busy.
And that's the good thing, is like keeping yourself involved in the community. As I said, like I see you in different places, different events. So that's really great to have you here as part of the community, and
I'm very lucky.
And we are lucky also to have you with us too.
Can I share one last
yeah,
thing related
yeah.
to dentistry? So because of my job and my understanding and interest in community water fluoridation, I'm also on the National American Waterworks Association Fluoride Standards Committee. And as a person who has worked with community fluoridation, I'm also part of the Iowans for Oral Health organization. So I support operators to do the right thing and feed fluoride to supplement it to that optimal level, because that helps people's teeth without having to have a bunch of work done. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as I said, more and more things to do here.
It's great.
Ed, and I don't know if we cover, it's hard to cover everything in a half-hour show, but I would like to give you a minute to talk about any issue that you feel like it's very important for our audience to know about you that we didn't talk about during the show.
Yes. Well, thank you. So one thing that is new that I am attempting to put on my plate is to become a Muscatine County Supervisor for District 2. So I have submitted my paperwork, will be on the ballot for a primary. It's on June 5th for a position on the board. The reason I want to be on the board is I feel that I bring experience to that organization that will be valuable. I believe that government creates possibility for people to have great lives. I believe government is good and that it should be supported. And I believe that people who work for the government are definitely underestimated and underappreciated, because it's incredible when you think about the work that's done to clear streets, to fix water mains, all those types of activities that people take for granted and really don't understand what is being done to serve them. So I want to support government to do well, to be acknowledged, and to do it, of course, inside a very efficient process of budgeting.
Wow, that's very interesting news now.
It is. It's big.
Is.
It's a big move for me.
Yeah. Well, we wish you best of luck,
Thank you.
and hopefully we hear the good news.
Yes.
Ed,
Vote for me in the coming election.
Yeah.
That's my request.
Thank you for being
welcome.
our guest here on the show. As I always say, you know, it's important to bring those people who are well involved in the community and highlight what they do so that the community does know some information or have some information about each one of our guests. So many thanks for accepting, you know, my when I asked you to be part of the show and be a guest. I'm very glad that you said yes to be with us today here. So I learned a lot from you, especially about, you know, growing up in the Hispanic traditions, the culture, and all these points that you talk about. And I'm sure all our audience did too. So thanks a lot again for agreeing to be on the show with us today. As I always say, you know, we bring people stories to your living room. We share it with you. So hopefully you will enjoy every second of this show. And we like always to hear back from you. So if you have any question and or comments, please call me at 563-288-6064, or you can email me at jdabeet@eicc.edu. Till next time, Muscatine, bye-bye.